How much more? How much more? Well, you have said some of the things that you expect to be saying. You've talked about the Victims Support Fund. We're hoping that, in the coming days we'll be able to get maybe a general overview from the agency that has been that has the responsibility as a National Emergency Management Agency. But we're wondering, how much more do you think that government should be doing? Do you think that security agencies can also bring this to the fore? Do they also have a role here?
Well, they have a role, but not direct role. I think it is the responsibility of government, like it said, that the primary responsibility of government is the welfare and security of the people. The security forces are there embarking on war. We're in a war situation, we should not shy away from it. But the fact remains that people who are displaced should be taken care of by government. And the security forces, you also give them assurance so that people who are displaced will also be in a position to give information on how to solve this problem. So it is not entirely the responsibility of security forces to take care of the displaced person, the government. But in terms of some of them, you cannot rule out the possibility of some of the displaced persons being insurgents hiding among the people. And the government or the security agencies can exploit this area by debriefing and looking at the profile of the people who claim to be displaced, because many of them are not displaced.
Well, anyway, I think talking about the media, well, we'll come back to the main issue, but perhaps maybe you're aware that Mr. Pt.3, the Minister of Special Duties, well, recently spoke with the BBC, which, well, loads and loads of Nigerians were fortunate to have monitored. And he spoke to them about negotiations still ongoing between the federal government and the Boko Haram group. And when we say the media, especially the Nigerian media, do you think people in authorities are doing enough to speak with the local media? Most of these information you finally get from the foreign media.
Well, I think the government officials will only grant interview to those who request for it. If the BBC requests for interview from Turaki, for instance, I don't see why we should not grant them interview. Or channels, for instance, go to Turaki to clear some issues.
I think that's entirely not correct, because I'm also a producer of a show, and I reach out to some of these people. Time was when sometimes we speak with those in authority and they don't want to speak, but the next minute you get to see them speak with the foreign media. How does that pan out for you as a Nigerian when that is the case?
Well, if you say it's not entirely correct, that is also not saying that I'm not correct in my own view or opinion. The point I'm making is that if you as a journalist...
Sorry, I use the word entirely because I can't speak for others, but speaking from our own perspective, our own point, we reach out to most of these people who, at the end of the day, they go out and speak to the foreign media. They don't want to speak with the Nigerian media. That's not too good enough.
No. If you make an effort to speak to somebody and he says he's not going to speak to you, I think the best thing you should do, make your report and say that this man refused to talk to me. I read in the newspapers at times when people will say all efforts made to reach the telephone were abortive. And you report it as such, that the person refused to. And if you have evidence that you requested an interview from any government official and he refuses to grant and goes to grant an interview to a foreign media, you are in a position to expose such person because it's unprofessional and unethical.
Well, okay, coming back to the issue, thank you for that. It has to do with this emergency request for extension of emergency rule. Yesterday, specifically on the program, we spoke, well, glowingly about the achievement by security agencies, especially even the DSS and the police, what they were able to do when they repelled the insurgents coming into Kogi and Edo State, and we saw what also happened to the police formation or police post in Auchi. If you looked at that situation and also related to what has happened in other parts of the country, people would say, or rather Nigerians would say, well, you didn't need state of emergency to arrest such situations. Why is it that now, having gone 1, 2, 3, we still need an emergency to be declared in these states to achieve what has been achieved in other parts of the country?
I didn't get that clearly.
We have been able, the security agencies have been able to get some form of success, relative success stories in other parts of the country, curtailing the excesses of the insurgents. And we ask him, why must we have an extension of emergency if they've been able to do it in other parts of the country where there's no state of emergency declared?
Well, the intensity of the conflict in those areas where we have emergency is not the same with what we have in other parts of the country. We are in a war situation. We should not shy away from it. The insurgents, you can see some clips where they drive all kinds of armored vehicle, armament, and other. And the question is, when did these people get their training? Some of them are retired military personnel who have the training like the military. They also have the opportunities of maneuver.
Has it been confirmed?
So the fact remains that we have a very big challenge in our hands, and you also see that even from eyewitness accounts, some of them are mercenaries who are not Nigerians, who are paid peanuts. And the reason is, you ask, why must mercenaries? Are the people be involved in fighting in Nigeria? Are the people, their national, their foreign nationals, are they against Nigeria? The answer is no. Because of the economic downturn and poverty, some of these people are paid peanuts from neighboring Chad, Nigeria, and others, and they come in to attack our people without knowing exactly what they are doing. So I believe that with all these states of emergency in place, we can still make a huge success. Instead of, I was suggesting we declare state of emergency in other parts of the country because the security agencies are making success without state of emergency being in place in other places. I definitely no.
Well, 6 months ago, our correspondent did report in that, she did capture in that report that 6 months ago when the state of emergency was extended for another 6 months, it wasn't done, very eagerly. They had done it on the grounds of certain conditions, that troops be equipped, they have to see results, and, there were just conditions. Do you think that we can measure in very clear terms the successes that we achieve when we extend a state of emergency?
Yeah. You see, the issue remains that this challenge we are facing is tedious. It takes time for government to re-equip and the military, which is ongoing. And that's why we are, the military is recording the success they are recording. Initially, when this fight started, it wasn't like this. They were virtually everywhere. The insurgents were virtually everywhere. But now they are restricted to certain areas. Forget the fact, we should also not dismiss that they took some part of the country. They controlled some areas. But after the failed, I still refer to that, after the failed negotiation, the military still went out against these insurgents. But I still feel very strongly that that negotiation was uncalled for and is a failed negotiation.
So in your estimation, in the last 18 months, we have done pretty well with the state of emergency that has been declared in the Northeast?
Of course, it would have been worse. It could have been worse. I believe very strongly that we have done very well in maintaining law and order, even though we have not gotten there yet. You also recall that some people have been calling, either by misguided or misinformed, that the political structures be dismantled if we are declaring full state of emergency. There's no provision for that in the Constitution. So the government believes in rule of law, and that is why you cannot go ahead, because the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on that. The president does not have power to go and dismantle political structures in place because you are declaring state of emergency. The thing baffles me when I see some lawyers also come to advocate that the political structures be dismantled. That's unconstitutional and a great problem for Mr. President.
Well, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, I would like to thank you so very much for finding time to speak with us. He's former director of the SSS. We'll summarize the take a moment now. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.